But there's a debate. Do we simply need to lock China outside Western political systems and the international system and expect for inevitable military conflict, or can we manage this relationship? And I come down on the latter side, that this is still a relationship that can be managed with very smart diplomacy vis-a-vis China, vis-a-vis our allies, and what we do at home. Hi, I'm Scott Kennedy, Senior Advisor and Trustee Chair in Chinese Business and Economics at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. I'm here to talk about my recent commentary, U.S. China Relations in 2024, Managing Competition Without Conflict. U.S. China relations have improved somewhat over the last year. Most see this as a short-term tactical adjustment on both sides, but I see some structural sources of stability in the relationship. And in 2024, things could get worse again. But with some smart diplomacy and some good luck, 2024 might not be that bad. Anybody who's been following me knows that for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been gloom and doom on China, and I've been the worst party pooper, bringing bad news to most conversations about where I thought the relationship was going. And I think a lot of us have gotten in that habit. And 2023 actually saw some positive turnaround from almost a year ago when we had the balloon incident to the end of the year when Presidents Biden and Xi met near San Francisco. And I thought it was worth looking at that shift to see if it was more than just a momentary tactical adjustment on both sides. And I came away seeing that although the relationship is still not very good and things could get much worse, there's some reasons for some optimism that the two sides have managed to reduce the likelihood of the worst tail risks happening. That is outright full economic decoupling or war. So I see 3 big important sources of structural stability in the relationship. The military balance of power that the U.S. and China have arrayed against each other that keeps either side from taking precipitous military action. Our deep economic interdependence that we have that raises the opportunities for continued interaction and also at the same time raises the costs of limiting that connectivity. And then the resumption of exchanges at the people-to-people level and government level over the past year. All of those things provide some sources of stability. They don't guarantee things will continue to improve, but they aren't fleeting. The commentary relates to the larger policy discussion about how should the U.S. and the rest of the world manage a relationship with a very difficult China. There is still a widespread view in the United States and elsewhere that China has really left the path of reform and opening and is not reformable in a way that makes its system, economic or otherwise, compatible with Western political systems and the international system. But there's a debate. Do we simply need to lock China outside that system and expect for inevitable military conflict, or can we manage this relationship? And I come down on the latter side, that this is still a relationship that can be managed with very smart diplomacy vis-a-vis China, vis-a-vis our allies, and what we do at home. Although there's a lot of sources of structural stability in the relationship, autopilot is not going to keep this relationship steady. It's going to require active diplomacy between the U.S. and China in 2024. They've built a variety of working groups and dialogues. Those will need to achieve real progress. The U.S. is going to have to better align its China policy with its allies. We've got a variety of tensions on industrial policy, on data we're going to have to figure out. And I think we're going to need to come up with clear goals about what we want to achieve in our strategy with China and some ways to measure progress so that we know if we're going in the right direction or whether we need to make significant adjustments. To read the full commentary, U.S. China Relations in 2024, Managing Competition Without Conflict, please visit CSIS.org.